Are you struggling to get your Flask application to recognize environment variables in Docker Compose? You're not alone. Today, we're diving into a common issue that many developers face when working with Docker and Flask. I totally understand how frustrating it can be when your environment variables just won't cooperate. It can feel like you're doing everything right, but something is still off. You're definitely not the only one experiencing this. Here's the specific situation we're addressing. One user mentioned that they are running a Flask container, but the environment variables set in their Docker Compose file are not being recognized. They have tried using both the env file and environment directives, but nothing seems to work. Sound familiar? Let's explore this together. So what could be causing this issue? There are a few common pitfalls when it comes to setting environment variables in Docker Compose, especially with Flask applications. Let's break it down step by step. And stick around. I have a crucial tip at the end that could save you a lot of headaches when working with Docker and Flask. To begin troubleshooting the issue with environment variables in Docker Compose, the user should first ensure that the .env file is correctly formatted and located in the same directory as the Docker Compose file. Next, the user should verify that the Docker Compose file is correctly referencing the .env file. The env file directive should be properly set up to load the environment variables. After confirming the .env file and Docker Compose setup, the user should check how they are accessing the environment variable in their Flask application. They should ensure that the variable name matches exactly. If the issue persists, the user should try rebuilding the Docker container to ensure that any changes made to the environment variables are applied. This can be done using the command docker compose up build. Finally, the user should check the logs of the Flask application to see if there are any errors related to environment variable loading. This can provide additional insights into what might be going wrong. Fun fact, did you know that Docker was originally designed to help developers manage their applications in a more efficient way? It's come a long way since then, but sometimes it still has its quirks. Now let's look at the answers provided by other users. An alternative approach suggested by another user is to ensure that environment variables are defined with a name and value under the environment section of your Docker file. They recommend using a format similar to Kubernetes deployment YAML. They also mention that accessing these variables in your Python script using os.environ should work correctly. Let's take a moment to review another user's answer. An alternative solution suggests defining environment variables directly in the Docker file. For example, you can use the env command to set a variable like secret equal to a specific value. In the docker compose.yml file, you can build the service and expose the necessary ports. This method ensures that the environment variables are set when the container is created. Here's the tip I promised. Always test your environment variables by running a simple print statement in your Flask app. This can help you quickly identify if the variables are being set correctly. And there you have it. With these troubleshooting steps, you should be able to get your Flask application recognizing those environment variables. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe for more tips and tricks on Docker and Flask.